Let's dig in a little bit more about Gordon uh, companies, right? And I kind of want to touch on, like you said, I think this is something your family started, but you're bringing in that like modernization piece to your business. So why don't you
So
talk
yeah,
a little bit
100%.
about that?
So my father, he should rest in peace, started our business, purchased our business, or the majority of our business from his former employer, and started what became our current company on December 2nd, 1968. So a long time. He was here every single day until a short while before his passing. So literally 55 years built on his back. And my mother, she should live me well, who came on in 1982, right before my parents got married in 1983. And what's great about working in a family business, or kind of what I've done, and what my parents really ingrained in me, is that we can move forward and evolve,
Hmm.
but it's important in a business, especially a service driven business. We're in the property and casualty insurance advisory space. And so, yes, we do sell products, but we more provide trusted advice and services. And so you can modernize and use technology, but never lose sight of the past and never lose sight of what got us here. And what I found is that as the world has turned to the internet and commoditization and all things like that, as much as I want to be a super modern guy, and I think technically a millennial, I was born in the late 80s, or I'm definitely an embracer of technology, and my parents are certainly not big embracers of technology. I think that there's something so important about remembering the foundations of how things were created and then leveraging technologies to enhance that. So, uh, one very brief example is electronic signatures. Electronic signatures are great. Nobody in 2023 should have to print out and hand sign anything. But sending someone a random proposal and saying sign here on the dotted line and then I'll get you your insurance doesn't create a relationship and doesn't enhance your value proposition and enhance your legacy. So the way that we've, in this very small example, the way that we've molded the generations is taking the foundations that my parents built this business on, of communication, of speaking to people, of explaining the coverages, of having them select what they want and what they need, and helping them through the challenges and the questions that they have. And then on the back end saying, hey, instead of me sending you a thing to print and sign, I'll just send you an e-signature. So it enhances the relationship, or it has a net effect of zero on the relationship, in that it's not an opportunity. You coming to sign in documents is not going to influence your relationship, and it shouldn't. So therefore, you can use technology to make it easier for the consumer. But in the end of the day, you're still communicating, you're still available for them. And that's, in anything, that's how we built our business and our brand. And that's what's shown us the success. And we're not going to go away from that. My conviction on that is stronger now than it's ever been.
Yeah, I like that you are bringing this up. I've never really heard anyone talk about it, like, because I feel like our generation and maybe younger are kind of pushing, like, yeah, we want tech, bring in tech, bring in tech. And I appreciate that you just said, well, remember the beginnings, though. It is about relationship, because whether it's business, family, all friends, all that comes back to relationship, right? Like, it's not just about
I'll tell you
cranking out
something. I'll tell
dollars.
you something crazy. We have some very tech forward, new age businesses and their principles that we work with on both the personal and commercial side. And it was ironic to me because I have or somewhat, comical, just because of everything that I'm focused on and we've been focused on for over 50 years, that when I first met the principal, he said to me, listen, I'm super busy. Text and email is the easiest way to get to me. Just like, if you ever need anything, let me know. And I said, great, no problem. Thanks for letting me know of your preferences. Here's my cell if you ever need anything. Guy shows up into the warehouse one day and it's completely flooded because a sprinkler had went off in the middle of the night. Picked up the phone and called me, right? Even the guy who said he never wants to speak on the phone, in a moment of need, even the most modern people who swipe, who e-sign, who tech, e-file, Dropbox, don't send me a paper, I'm not even going to give you a mailing address type of a situation. When crisis strikes, in my business, that's a claim. But if you you could be the most modern person in the world. If you have a tree hit your roof last night, which thankfully it didn't, so we'll use that example. Like, you're not going to wake up in the middle of the night and say, hey, I think I should text my insurance guy. I hope you don't. Even if you're a big text guy, pick up the phone. So I think that there's a way where, especially in the moments of crises, especially in the moments of connection, which our generation is becoming so increasingly more void of. We it's ironic and a little bit comical that the most tech focused people, there's like is it Elon Musk, one of the big tech guys, goes away into like silence or something. For I know Aaron Rodgers just did it, but one of them goes and does their best thinking. Maybe Bill Gates said it. One of the big tech billionaires that
Sure.
their best ideas come from a week in the summer where they are in the mountains, disconnected from society, and yet during that time they're hoping that all of us embrace their technology so they can get paid more money. But like even
Oh,
they
yeah.
know, even the
How
big tech people
interesting.
realize that like growth comes from disconnect a little bit from technology, which
Ooh,
which is super
interesting.
interesting if you think about it. Like we need the technology,
Yeah.
right? Well, I'm never going to
Yeah.
shop away from Amazon. It's just not going to happen. Comes the same day here in New York. So like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but real development, real growth, personally and professionally, technology can't help with it.
I think that's a big piece that our generations now, right? They're growing up with tech are going to have to know that structure that you just said. Like, do you know part of your life it needs to where you have to disengage from this tech. You need to like it's almost like you're designed, right, to enjoy nature, to get out and unplug and then come back in refreshed, right?
It's we don't have to get into the debate about the value of public education or college or things like that. But what I think everyone can agree on is if you even look at college students, okay, we want to talk about the value. Do they need it? Zoom, whatever. When someone's going to study something, they turn off all the tech, they turn the blinders on, and they look down at that book that they need to study. Or it could be a Kindle, it could be an iPad. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm saying if you
Yeah.
really want to focus on something, you need to study, you have an exam, you have something that to do. You're going to turn off all those things that you think enhance your life, quote unquote. You're not going to be on social media that night.
Yeah.
You're just going to put your phone down. And so isn't there something to that like real focus happens with disconnect? And
That's
that's where
good.
real and by the way, that's where you can really internalize something. And I'm not knocking technology. Again, I love technology. iPhone, all the I think we are luckier. My father just unfortunately passed away, but he was ill for 12 years on and off. And without modern technology and medicine, he would not have lived as long as he did at age 82.
Mm,
So I
wow.
am as grateful as any human could be on planet Earth for modernity, and that we live in the United States of America. We have access to that technology and that healthcare and all that stuff that comes with it. I just think as parents, business owners, and influencers of our tribe on the home front and on the friend front of the next generation, we should be conscious of that
Man. Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, we're gonna have to roll into how that kind of goes in the family too. But I was having kind of a thought while you're saying that like technology is a tool, right? A phone is a tool, gives us access to the internet, all those things. And if you think of it in that sense, like it should have a proper place. Like I don't have my like tools; they should be in the garage, right? And then when I need them for the right application, I use them. And so I think there's going to be some education that needs to come and almost challenging the younger generations to like don't overuse this tool. Like for instance, if it was like a drill, if that puppy's with you when you go to the store, when you go, you're trying to sleep and go take it to bed with you. Like it's just not the proper place for that tool. Where technology is like we're gonna have to figure out these boundaries of where's the proper place. Like when we're working, if it's just technology and there's no relationship and you know what I mean. Like that's
And
not
by the way, your
probably
life and relationships are not dependent upon any one of those tools. And I think that people lose
exactly.
sight of that. I think that people think that if I don't have this piece of technology, if my phone dies, again, assuming I'm not stuck in a rural nowhere where in a emergency where I desperately need to communicate with people.
Yeah.
Like I have a friend who's in the insurance business. He lives in Mobile, Alabama, great guy. And he has a thing where he doesn't charge his phone on the weekends.
Hmm.
And the reason why he doesn't charge his phone on the weekend is because that doesn't mean he doesn't use it. That means he doesn't charge it. So Friday at whatever time it ends at 100%. And taking out again traveling or things like that, who does he spend his weekend with? His wife and his children. So it's nice to communicate with the outside world, but if it's Sunday at 5 p.m. his phone dies, like his wife knows where he is, if people need to get in touch with them, house phone, things like that. But like it's like a forced, you know what I mean? And what that
Yeah.
shows is I'm not dependent upon that technology.
It's a forced discipline, really.
100%. Exactly. So I think that there's something there as well.
Oh, that's great. So, why don't you talk about the for your company, you're bringing in technology, right? That maybe your parents weren't willing to do. So, what was that like? And what type of things did you implement
Yeah.
and the
So
impact of it?
yeah. So a lot of it base is early on. I was like, this place is broken. You guys have no idea what you're doing. My father and I had like these conversations where he's like, built a pretty nice life for you, huh? Well, nice of you to come in here never thinking about actually having to like what will it mean to make payroll and pay the rent, and now you're going to comment about the things that I have that are broken. It's like pretty nice of you, which obviously was, when I took a step back and thought about it, it was like really important life lesson. And then, but technology, I really just believe exactly what you just said. Technology is a tool and should be a relationship enhancer. And it
I
can,
like that.
there's so many amazing things that can happen. I I don't want to be the guy who knocks technology, and I have a wife whose parents, my in-laws, who I am very close to, and she has one sister, and her only sister they all live in Israel, and I live in New York. And so without technology, we wouldn't be able to FaceTime or Zoom them on a daily or weekly basis. And my kids would not have the relationships that they have, and we wouldn't get to experience those life events from a distance. And by the way, without technology, it wouldn't be easy to come and go as needed with an expense, but the ability to really to bridge the gap of that distance, which is very profound. So I just think that we have to look at technology as relationship enhancers. And as long as we keep that, as you said, we view it as a tool and not the end, but the means to an end, then I think that it's great. And I think that we'll see amazing developments in that. I was listening to a podcast this week about the quote unquote dangers of AI. And I don't know a lot about AI, but I do know that if my life is dependent upon something, some piece of technology right now, that there is probably a chance, actually a very good chance, that AI will disrupt that. But if it's just a tool to enhance relationships and business operations and all things like that, I would be very happy if somehow AI figured out how to deliver a virtual thing to my clients and a virtual experience or whatever else, or give me client data or prospect data or things like that that would further help me enhance the relationships, because then I would just use it as further leverage. I'm not scared of artificial intelligence. The,
I
the the
like how
fact
you
that AI has 10 times the IQ of any human on record doesn't scare me, because my life is not based on IQ. I've never asked a single person in my personal professional life what their IQ is. Have you? I'm not saying,
I would
everyone's making
never
a big
ask.
deal. You know
I
what I'm
don't even
saying?
know
But
what
like this
mine
is this
is.
everyone's like, this is 10 times smarter than any human. Great. Like so is Google, or was Google, like I don't know. So why is
Yeah.
that, so
Aaron, I
that's what I
really
would say.
like that you use the word enhancer. Like, so you used it with technology, and now you're saying AI. Like, you're like, I'm great with it as long as it enhances it. Like, and then, because to me, that's like this positive growth. It's good. It's creating something better. But then, if it's not enhancing it, you might be using the tool wrong, right? Because you've neglected relationships, and whether it's business or life. So I
100%.
I like that you keep using that word. It's enhancing. Um, what did you do like to in implementing certain technology with you said your parents
Yeah,
and
so
what
we
was
do
like
we
the
do
result of
like
that?
we do e-signature, which didn't exist
Okay.
before. Our whole office is paperless.
Wow.
Online payments. We have an app. And again, all of these things are just ways that I can make you as my consumer or client, your life easier. We do a lot of text forward risk management, like drone shots of people's roofs through various carrier partners that we have. And other than that, like I don't have a phone answering system. There's no robots here. There's I'm in the insurance business, and insurtech is a big buzzword these days. And there's
Mhm.
billions of pieces of technology that I can be using. Some people say I should be using. Some people say I'm an idiot not using it. And it's funny because I sound like my dad when I'm like the carriers partners that we represent. They come to me and they say, "Hey, have you thought about this technology? Or why are you not doing this? Or you should do this, or you should do that." And I'm like, I think I've been pretty profitable for you over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 50 years. When my profitability drops, then we can discuss on the things that you think I might be doing wrong. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to take the suggestion and jump on it, but it just means that if it's going to stop me or my people from communicating and developing those relationship with our clients, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not. Every single personal client that comes our way, the you make an introduction as a realtor, as a mortgage broker, as a current client, the first email that they're going to get from me or the salesperson on my team, of which we have very few because it's we believe our family wants to know everybody who we do business with, is, "Hey, when do you have a few minutes to chat?" Now you may write, "I'm closing tomorrow and totally forgot about my insurance. Can we just close this quickly?" But that's your choice. You file a claim, you're going to get a call from me. You may write, "Hey, I'm stuck underwater. Text me," but you're going to get a phone call every single time. And
S
that's I think that the phone is the most powerful piece of technology we have, and nobody uses it. It's called an
Man,
iPhone. It's called an
yeah.
iPhone, and nobody uses the phone. And by the way, it's just more efficient. We can get super practical on that. It's you can get done in like 30 seconds what takes 12 emails. It's funny. I'll tell you about using the phone as a relationship enhancer. So we have I've been married, thankfully, actually 13 years today. And and so my wife has seen various natural disasters come through, and I'm in the insurance business. And she recently remarked, it was 2 years ago during Superstorm Ida, where she was listening to me in the middle of the night talk to a bunch of people about the problems that they were having and the water damage that they had to their homes. And she pointed out after like 3 or 4 of these calls, she's like, "You're not really doing anything." And I said, "Exactly. It's pouring rain. All the streets are flooded. I can't get a person into these people's houses to pump out the water. In fact, I'm telling them not even to try, and we'll figure it out later tonight or tomorrow morning in the middle of the night or in the morning. There's no you going down with your wife and kids with a bunch of buckets when you have 3 feet of water in your basement is going to do nothing. Might make you feel a little better, but it's not going to do anything practically."
Mhm.
And I said to her that she's exactly right. I was doing absolutely nothing except for listening and providing support. So when you tell me that your basement is flooded and I say it's going to be okay, we've had 50,000 of these claims in our career, and this is the process. And by the way, it's going to be painful. I just want it to be as least painful as possible. It's not going to be painless. When you have to move your wife and kids, even if I tell you I can get the Airbnb next door for as long as you want, it's not going to be like living in your home. Even if I say I'll pay for your takeout food for however long it takes you to get back into that kitchen that was destroyed. The first few days it'll be cool, then it'll get annoying and you'll wish that you could just, make your eggs on your stove or whatever. So it oftentimes you don't even have to provide solutions, but just communication and relationships go a really long way.
So good, and happy anniversary, by the way, and that's awesome,
Thank you.
the 13 years. Yeah, when you're talking about the phone, like, that's you're really, speaking my language because, man, sometimes I get frustrated texting and emailing. I'm like, "Man, I could tell you correctly because I don't always convey, right, with writing as well as other people." So, I love that
By the way,
you're
I'm not
a
even
phone
talking
guy.
about tonality, right? People are like, "You sounded angry," and you're like, "They just didn't come through in text." I didn't even get there.
Yeah.
If I need to get 5 pieces of information from you, and I send you a long text with those, 5 bullet points, you might miss one, which means that I need to follow up. If I just called you and said, "Hey, I need done," 45 seconds
Yeah.
later, talk to you later, done.
Yeah, I
"Hey,
like
what
it.
do you want for dinner?" We could go back and forth on text, or I could say, "I'm in the store. I'll pick it off the shelf for you."
If you like that clip and you wanna watch another one, click right here. If you wanna watch the entire interview, click right here.